What's up, everyone? This is Carlos, aka Adam, back with my WWE Clash of Champions review, results, reaction. So the pay per view took place last night. Overall, pretty good. We'll get into obviously the meat and potatoes of it in a little bit. First and foremost, to all my chosen ones, have an easy fast today. It's definitely not easy, but unfortunately, as was rumored and as I had hinted on my preview, two matches in particular were not able to happen. The SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley versus Nikki Cross, and as well as the Women's Tag Team Championship, Shayna and Nia versus the Riot Squad. It was said that both Nikki Cross and I believe Nia were not medically cleared. I don't understand why they can't just acknowledge the virus. I mean, AEW does it not to try and compare, but they just are just straight up about it. Hey, Lance Archer came in contact with someone with COVID. Therefore, we have to change some of these matches up. And they let their superstars like Ben Carter. He just straight up tweeted, listen, I just tested positive. We'd rather know than pretend like the virus doesn't happen, just like they did with Sami Zayn. Anyway, I digress. So overall, yeah, the pay-per-view was good, though, for what they were able to do. Some of these things, unfortunately, feel like they're just going to, just be carried over into other... to the next pay-per-view, which I believe is Hell in a Cell. So my predictions were okay. So we'll get right into that. So we start off with the kickoff. So we're alerted to two of the matches not going on. So we get Cesaro and Shinsuke backstage interview. They're popping champagne already. They kick Kayla out when she starts talking about their loss to them the other week. So Truth, we find out, is dressed up as an old prospector looking for gold because of the whole, the Gold Rush subtitle to the pay-per-view. Obviously, we know there's going to be some 24/7 shenanigans because it was just obvious. We get Andrade and Angel Garza backstage interview. Zelina blamed Angel for all their problems, or blamed Angel for all his problems or their problems. He had said, but they have each other's back as long as they stick together. Sammy crashes the interview, is angry. He's not addressed as the Intercontinental Championship, which is kind of funny. So we get our first match, which was a switch of the card based on the fact that two of the women's matches were not able to happen. So what they did was they moved the Asuka Zelina Raw Women's title match to the main card. Shouldn't have been on the kickoff show anyway, but I digress. So they did that, and they instead put the SmackDown Tag Team title. We get Lucha House Party versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. So we finally find out that Kalisto and Lindsay are going to be the ones representing Lucha House Party. We get Lindsay with a tilt-a-whirl head scissors, and then Arana by Kalisto, both on Cesaro. He's taking the heat for a little bit. I actually like Shinsuke's gear. He's got the no sleeves on this time. It looks pretty cool. Lindsay's taking heat for a little bit. Hits a Desperation Code Red on Cesaro for a 2 count. Top rope crossbody by Lindsay on Shinsuke. We get the knee gut wrench combo on Lindsay for a 2 count. Finally gets the hot tag to Kalisto. Hits a tilt-a-whirl DDT on Cesaro for a 2 count. And then he tries to do a suicide dive to Cesaro. Cesaro catches him, and then a really cool move. Lindsay does another dive, which actually spins Kalisto, with the momentum into the tornado DDT on the outside. It was actually a really cool move. We get 3 moonsaults between the two of them on Cesaro for a 2 count. Shinsuke eventually hits an exploder suplex on Lindsay that sends him over the barricade. And while that's going on, they do the swing into the Kinshasa for the win. I think they were swinging him the wrong way because it was like he was swinging him this way, and then it just didn't look like it was. It should have been the other way when Shinsuke hit the Kinshasa on him. But either way, looked good. So they win, they retain. But let's see what I had here for that. I had Shinsuke and Cesaro as my shoot and my kayfabe picks, and 6 points of confidence on that. So now we go to the main show, starting it off hot with the Intercontinental title ladder match, AJ, Sammy, and Hardy. So during their entrances, we each get a highlight of them in various ladder matches, which I thought was pretty cool. So Sammy hits an Arabian moonsault to the outside on AJ. Sammy first to use the ladder as a weapon. We get Sammy back body dropped onto the ladder against the ropes, which looked vicious. Hardy misses. Hardy misses and lands on an upside down ladder. So he basically puts the ladder upside down so it's V-shaped, and he goes like some kind of jumping elbow or something on AJ, just sidesteps him, and he lands on his ribs on the support, and that just looked really, really rough because that's like just a thin piece of metal. So Sammy whipped into another ladder in the corner, bounced off it twice, which was just crazy. Sammy took some crazy punishment. AJ hits a Pele on him. We see Sammy's back is completely wrecked and bloody and bruised. Hardy meets AJ at the top of a ladder. Hardy's thrown off. Hardy back up and pulls AJ down. Sammy tries to sneak up, but AJ stops him. AJ hits him with the... So Sammy hits an exploder suplex on AJ onto a ladder. Hardy launched off the steps onto AJ on the outside, but then catches a haluva kick. We get AJ launches the ladder at Sammy to knock him off the ladder in the ring, so that was pretty cool. Like Sammy was making his way up the ring, and then all of a sudden a ladder comes out of nowhere, like a smaller ladder, and hits Sammy, and he goes off the ladder, which is pretty cool. AJ launches a ladder at Sammy to knock him. Oh no, AJ's the one who does it. AJ and Hardy are fighting at the top. Hardy realizes that AJ's about to go, to grab the titles. So in order to stop him, he decided to use his momentum to take the whole ladder over. Somehow it missed Sammy because Sammy was in the corner and it came down, but it just landed on the turnbuckle, which was right above him. Hardy pushes a ladder into AJ, trying to hit a phenomenal forearm. Sammy again able to get away. He's just so smooth. We get a twist of fate on Sammy. Sammy flips ladder over with Hardy on the top, so he's pushing the ladder up, and so Hardy's going this way, and then as the ladder is getting tilted this way, he's trying to slide down the ladder, but the ladder just gets folded over and flipped over the ring, and he falls with it. It just looked really bad. It looked like a really bad fall. Backflip, Scorpion Deathlock. A death drop by AJ on Sammy on off the commentary desk. That looked pretty cool. Sammy sets up a ladder bridge, and then unfortunately though he was hoisted on his own petard because Hardy then goes through what we've seen him do many, many times, a swanton from the top of another ladder through Sammy through the ladder. The camera angle was great because it was right kind of looking up right above Sammy. It was holy shit moment. AJ sent off the ladder by Hardy. Sammy pulls out handcuffs while the melee is going on. He handcuffs Hardy's ear, so he doesn't have the gauge in his ear. So he puts the handcuff through there, and then through on the support beam of a smaller ladder, and then he handcuffs AJ one time, and then goes to try and handcuff him to the ladder, but they're fighting, and then all of a sudden mid suplex. Somehow Sammy handcuffed himself to AJ, so he was you're not going to get up there without me. So obviously Sammy just decides to go, dead fish and just completely, deads himself. And AJ is beating on him and then puts him on his shoulders, and he's trying to try and climb the ladder with him there. And then while this is going on, Hardy is trying to get into the ring and try to pull them, holding onto the ladder so it doesn't rip his ear off. And then while this is going on, they got a great camera angle of Sammy, who then reveals a key from his mouth, undoes his handcuffs AJ to the ladder, and then is able to get up the ladder himself and win, pull down both titles. Sammy wins. This was an absolutely fantastic match. Sammy is a fucking genius. This was so great. This was one of the best ladder matches I've seen in a long time. So good, so smooth. And the right person won. Obviously he never lost. This obviously, everyone's going to go after him now. I obviously, in my predictions, I had Hardy winning, and I thought I wanted AJ to win, and I had only 1 point of confidence though, because I was not confident in this, because it could have gone any which way. And after watching it, the right person won. I'm happy for Sami Zayn. He definitely deserved it. So we get a recap of Truth during the kickoff. Truth wanders into the ref's room. He blames Jimmy. As he's trying to leave, Drew Gulak is doing some lunges and behind him, rolls him up for the win. He's the new 24/7 champ. We know that that's not going to be the end of it. So then we get the Raw Women's title, Asuka versus Zelina. Okay. So we get Joe back on commentary. So thank God for that. I was very happy to see him back. Asuka's basically just toying with Zelina to start. She hits an arm bar. Zelina gets the ropes. Hip attack sends Zelina to the outside. Asuka is sent into the stairs. We get a float over bridge arm lock by Zelina, which looked pretty cool. Zelina rolls over Asuka lock for an armbar. Zelina breaks another Asuka lock though. We get the crucifix in the ropes that Zelina does. We get a bunch of several near falls for Zelina, but she's getting frustrated. But actually, she was looking really smooth. Eventually, though, she gets the Asuka lock for the win. So it was a quick match, but Zelina looked good in it. Obviously, just showing that she is more than just a valet, manager, business associate, whatever you want to call it. We get a post-match ring interview. Asuka gives Zelina props, but apparently she was not ready for Asuka. She goes over and tries to shake hands. Zelina says no, and then she goes to bow. And when Asuka goes to, also bow, Zelina kicks her in the face, hits her a bunch of times, and then runs. Asuka completely flips out and is screaming at, going crazy. I had shooting kayfabe both Asuka. I had no doubt in my mind that she was going to win this match. 8 points of confidence on that. We then get the U.S. title, Apollo versus Lashley. Ricochet is out with Apollo. We had Apollo with a pre-match promo, one of those, videotape ones. Only MVP comes out with Lashley, so we saw Shelton at the top of the ramp. He doesn't come out. No Cedric at all. No Retribution at all, which was interesting. Apollo moonsault off the apron hits. We get Lashley with the flatliner for a 2 count. MVP's talking a whole lot of shit while this is going on. Every time that Apollo is on the side that he's on, he's just talking shit. Lashley sent to the post. Apollo with a press slam, which is really impressive. A standing moonsault for a 2 count. Lashley superplex for a 2 count. A counter dominator into a standing shooting star, and then a frog splash for a 2 count. Eventually, Lashley hits a massive choke slam, and then the hurt lock for the win, or the full Lashley, whatever you want to call it. At this point, Apollo really just needs to move on. It sucks, that I really enjoyed him as the U.S. champ. I thought it was a good story, but Lashley as the U.S. champ is the right call, and the Hurt Business is just doing so well right now. Apollo literally has had no other match besides some kind of variation of tag or singles match against a member of the Hurt Business for the last, I think, 3 or 4 months. It's time to move on. Maybe him and Apollo, I've said this before, should be a tag team. Something, because he just can't keep doing that. Let's see here. What did I have? I had... Yeah, so I had Bobby, both shoot and kayfabe, one of my more confident ones, 7 points of confidence on that. And then we get the Raw Tag Team title. Street Profits versus Andrade and Garza. I think there's an asterisk on this one, personally. So we get pop-up, kick to the gut on Ford. Garza and Andrade look to be in sync finally. Ford set up on the apron. Garza hits the running knee. Hot tag to Dawkins. He cleans house. Spinebuster on Andrade by Dawkins. Garza hits an avalanche Spanish fly, which slightly botched, but still good, on Ford for a 2 count. Andrade stops the hot tag to Dawkins. Double knee by Ford for the 2 count. While this is going on, apparently, I forgot exactly where, but it looked like Garza had hurt himself on the outside. I think there was even an X thrown up. So it looked like that Andrade was on his own. Dawkins hits a massive spine buster and then goes for the pin, and the ref counts 3, even though clearly Andrade kicked out. And so then eventually, obviously there's, some confusion, I think there was, and then eventually we see Garza on the outside with the trainers. The truth of the matter is, I get it. These injuries happen. Sometimes you have to change up the matches, but it just seemed like it wasn't communicated to both Andrade and Dawkins, because Dawkins looked actually a little pissed off that there was a 3 count there, almost as if he didn't expect it or didn't want it that way. And Andrade obviously did not look happy about it. I'm not exactly sure. Whoop, just knocked my microphone. I don't know exactly, so hopefully we'll get some clarity tonight on Raw. We finally get the draft. There's long been rumored announcement of a draft coming, so we're going to get it finally starting on October 9th on SmackDown, then finishing on Raw. Interesting that they're starting with SmackDown this time instead of Raw. Maybe it's just the time in between, maybe because of NXT might be involved in it, so maybe. I'm not exactly sure. So then we get a Drew Gulak backstage interview. He says, as a trainer, you always have to be alert. He wanted to dedicate this to Akira, who apparently was eaten by a shark. Truth hits him with the bowl that he was using for the looking for gold, wins his baby back. We get Bailey to the ring with the chair in hand, saying Nikki isn't medically cleared. They can't even acknowledge COVID. I just still don't get it. She was basically talking shit on Nikki, and then makes an open challenge. Says, you know what? Okay, open challenge to be closed. No one wants to come out from the back. Ref, why don't you just raise my hand? So the ref comes in. All of a sudden, Asuka's music hits, and I'm just like, she's not going to win. They're not going to make her double champ. I mean, we've seen this too many times already. Why? What's this? It's not going to further any storyline. She's not the women's. Neither of them are women's tag team champions, so they're not going to see each other on any other brand, unless they do the quarterly invitational or whatever. So we do get the match: Asuka versus Bailey. Running hip attack for a 2 count. Asuka lock. Bailey gets a rope break. Bailey goes after the left arm that was injured in the Zelina match. I like that, keeping continuity. Bailey dive. Asuka countered into a code breaker. We get Asuka German release on the floor. Bailey using a chair for a DQ. So just a Wong finish. Unnecessary match. Eventually Sasha comes out of nowhere with a chair shot, still wearing the neck brace. Sasha's on the attack, but she's still selling the injury to her neck. Bailey yells at Cole to shut up once she gets the advantage. Bailey with the chair and kendo stick. Eventually Sasha gets the stick and beats the shit out of Bailey. Bailey obviously runs away. Sasha went to swing a chair at Bailey as she was getting out of the ring. It looked like it came out of her hand and could have been really dangerous and really hurt Bailey. So that was pretty crazy. So then we get the WWE, since there was no match there. I'm not going to count that as my Bailey points, so I'm just not going to count that at all because I counted Bailey, to win, but against Nikki, so that doesn't count. So then we get our ambulance match: Orton versus McIntyre. This one was interesting. Personally, I think it was a little bit of an overbooked mess. I just, I understand the, this is your life, Randy Orton, but, as Joe said at one point, but I just think they could have done it a different way. I didn't think it was necessary to do it this crazy. So we go for the RKO attempt, draping DDT hits in the ring. Big Show comes out of nowhere, choke slams Orton through the table. He leaves. So already you're like, okay, so this is where it's going. So we get Orton dropped on the barricade. Drew and Control as they make their way towards the ambulance. Orton gets long dart into the ambulance. Drew with some chair shots. Orton counters with crutches, then rams a chair into Drew's jaw again. Both are fighting into the ambulance. We get a Glasgow kiss. A Claymore misses, takes the driver's door off the hinges. From then on, Drew is selling a knee injury. Fight goes to the back. Christian shows up to attack Orton. Joe screams, "This is your life, and it isn't going too good." It was actually kind of pretty funny when he did it. Drew driven back first into the windshield, back on the ambulance. His back is all cut up. They fight on top of the ambulance. Drew's back is all cut up. He gets knocked off to the floor. Orton's still on the ambulance. He turns around, catches Sweet Chin music from Shawn Michaels, then knocked onto a stage that's kind of a little platform that's set up next to it. Gets him the suck it, and then the crotch chop, and then he leaves. We had an RKO on the floor. Drew stops a second door from being closed. He's in the ambulance. Drew hits the Claymore, but puts him in the ambulance. Doesn't close the door, though. He kind of pulls Orton's head out just enough to punt it, then closes the door for the win. Apparently, Ric Flair is then driving the ambulance, with no door, broken windshield, and the fact that he is, 70-something years old and looks like he's, not doing the greatest. But anyway, so, they didn't have Edge. Obviously, no Keith Lee, no Retribution. In this match, I had, in the tag team title match, I had Andrade and Garza, but I did have Kayfabe and Street Profits, 3 points of confidence on that, but no points awarded, obviously. I had Randy both shoot and Kayfabe in this, but I only had 2 points of confidence because I thought, it could go either way because this is most likely getting set up for another match, probably at Hell in a Cell. It just seems a little weird that they, when are they going to give the title to Randy? I feel like it's only a matter of time. He deserves it, the work he's been doing. I know they really want to get him that record. So, Anyways, then we have our Universal title match, Reigns versus Jey Uso. So now, this one, obviously a lot of people had said that this should just be an absolute beatdown, but after the go-home show, this looked to be an absolute war between family members. So we get Roman rocking no shirt, looks great, completely jacked, no more vest for him. He's showing complete advantage of power. Roman and Heyman are mouthing off to the ref, Little Nate. Jay goes for a splash, catches a Superman punch. There's a slugfest on the outside, but Jay just can't hang with him. Roman's saying he needs to level up because he isn't on Roman's level. Roman is posted, gives Jay some life. Jay with a suicide dive, then back in the ring, hits an enziguri, then another suicide dive to the outside, hits a crossbody, but only for a 2 count. A super kick, only a 2 count. Roman hits a Rough Rider for a 2 count. I mean, a Reigns Rider, come on. We have to know that there's something in there. And Jay counters a spear for a roll up. That looked great. Hits a super kick while Roman is seated. Then goes for the splash from the top, a 2 count. But on the kick out, if you from obscuring the ref, instead of just normal get the shoulder up, he lifts his arm up for a low blow on Jay. We get a spear, but then Roman's not ready yet and wants to be called chief. Wants to be called the tribal chief, the head of the household, all this stuff. Jay won't do it. Hits another, and then we get another spear. And then he wants the whole world to hear Jay say it, so he holds his head over to look at the camera. Jay starts to laugh, says, "Not today, Oos." And then Heyman showing some, humanity there. He's saying, "You're my tribal chief. You're my tribal chief." And he says he wants Jay to acknowledge him, not him. He wants someone in his family to. So Roman gets in Little Nature's face while this is going on, says, you won't have a job tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Jimmy comes out, limping, obviously still selling the surgery, has a knee brace on, has the towel, says he's going to throw the towel in. Jay keeps saying no. Roman wants Jimmy as well to say it. Jay says, don't do it. Forget him. But eventually the beatdown just keeps going crazy. Jimmy finally has to throw in the towel, gets in between them, and he's like, Jimmy calls him chief. He's like, all right, you're the tribal chief. Is that what you want to hear? You happy now? And then the last image is where he tells Heyman to go get the lei that Jay wore to the ring, put it on him, celebrating with the title in his hand. This was fantastic match. The ending, everything in here was just, the crowd would have been so hot if they were live for it. As always, I usually do my match of the week, but I'm going to do my match of the night. Clearly, it is the Intercontinental Triple Threat match. This match was booked perfectly. This was an absolute fantastic match. Everyone looked great. Everyone got their spots in. It was perfect. Sami Zayn was the right person to win. I can't wait to see him more on SmackDown. I mean, you forget, because Sami has all the nonsense, that how great he is in the ring, of a storyteller, a wrestler, a performer. But yeah, and then Hardy and AJ, they brought it, but Sami was just on another level tonight. So there you have it. WWE Clash of Champions is in the books. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media's down there. I forgot to say that at the beginning. As always, be safe, love each other, and bye now.